Today, we're talking about meal prepping. No, this isn't gonna be a cooking video per se, but I'm gonna talk to you about how do you actually meal prep and how do you apply it to your life. Meal prepping has changed drastically how people see it over the last 30 years. It used to be something that was clandestine, only bodybuilders were doing it, like true meatheads, guys in tank tops, guys taking steroids. They were the only people doing meal prep. Sunday would come around, they'd fill up a bunch of Tupperware containers, but today, thank God, everybody is into fitness. And that means more and more people are looking for ways to meal prep. What I consider meal prep is simply cooking in bulk. What do I mean? If I am to make dinner tonight, I would never make just a single serving of salmon for myself, my wife, for our family. I would make multiple servings so that I could have it for the next couple of days. If you're gonna have chicken tonight, make multiple servings of chicken. Then therefore you have chicken left over for whether it be lunch or whether you're just in a crunch and you're having to get out the door, you have chicken therefore prepared for the next couple of days. Same thing is true with vegetables. Make multiple servings and you're gonna be prepped. Having said that, I'm gonna walk you through strategies that are really gonna help your meal prep be more successful. Because there are pitfalls, there are things that you're gonna screw up on the first couple times you do it. This video is all about shortening the learning curve. Let's start with a couple things that you're gonna need besides foods and pots and pans. I recommend getting glass Tupperware. You hear a lot about microplastics. The reality is there's really nothing that we can do about plastic, but there are a couple things that you definitely want to avoid in terms of microplastics. And one of them is heating up plastic in the microwave. Avoid it at all costs. So instead, I buy glass Tupperware and that's what I choose to use. The second thing that I do in order to make meal prep easier is when I go into the studio, I train clients, I use a meal prep bag, or what's known as, in this case, a 6-pack bag. It's basically a lunchbox for adults. And there's a ton of brands that offer this. This is from a company called 6-pack. They're no longer on the market, but I had one of these when I was in high school. I had one when I was in college, and I just bought a ton of them off Etsy. But you can find some sort of brand that offers that. You can see here, I have 3 sleeves for meals. I have one up here. We'll fill this up as we go throughout the video with like a day of eating for me. And I'm a big person, I eat a lot of meals, so I'm gonna show you how I meal prep each and every single day. So now that we're ready to cook, let me refresh your memory. Meal prep is simply cooking in bulk. Again, I think the easiest way to do it is whenever you sit down to cook, never make a single serving of anything. But let's say you decide to specifically sit down and you want to make 3-4 days worth of meals. I wouldn't do any longer than that because sometimes meals won't stay fresh for 5-6 days. So I'm gonna make up a few days worth of meals here, which just simply means, again, I'm gonna cook in bulk. So I'm gonna be using large portions. I'm gonna put down some ground meat. This happens to be Wagyu beef. This is from Browsy Farms. They were kind enough to send this to me. I have it in this large pan here. It's an oversized pan, so it'll cook quicker. I already mashed it up with a tool. And then I'm gonna use some pre-chopped up mushrooms and onions. I had to chop these up myself, but you can a lot of times find them at the store. And remember, the whole reason that we're doing meal prep is to do things in a manner that's gonna make it as efficiently as possible. This is not going to be the most cost-effective way to do it. It's gonna be the quickest, most convenient and nutritious way to possibly do it. So I'm gonna put some onions, I'm gonna put some mushrooms in here, sprinkle them in. I like to do that with my ground beef because one, I'm getting additional antioxidants, I'm getting additional micronutrients, but at the same time, it also really helps to tenderize the beef. So we've got some onions, some mushrooms in there. We've got some thinly sliced chicken here. This package, these are from Browsy Farms. Again, they were kind enough to send it to me, and they're very thinly sliced, which I like, again, because it's gonna cook up very quickly. So even if I had larger chicken breasts, I would bother to slice it up so that I could cook these up in the oven at 400 degrees and cook it in about 15 minutes. Here, I have some Trader Joe's pesto chicken. This is awesome tasting and it passes the test. And you can see it's already pre-sliced up for me and it's thinly sliced again. So both of these are gonna go in the oven. It's only gonna take 15 minutes to cook them, which is about how long it'll take to cook this ground beef as well. So I've got some broccoli and we're talking about this now along with the lean protein because we're gonna cook this all simultaneously. In about 15 minutes, I'm gonna have 2 meals worth of ground beef with onions and mushrooms. I'm gonna have a ton of broccoli and I'm gonna have a bunch of days worth of chicken. Again, it's all about optimizing our time. And in the name of that, I bought broccoli florets. I threw them in the microwave for about 2 to 3 minutes to just soften them up so that I can cook them simultaneously with the chicken at 400 degrees. And this will take about 15 minutes, all 3 of these dishes to cook. And so now we have the classic chicken and broccoli dish in the oven. Set the timer for 15 minutes. Set the timer, chicken, broccoli. Light this bad boy up, let it start to cook. Beautiful. I've also got this wok. I'm gonna use this for a bunch of vegetables as well. I love cooking my vegetables up ahead of time because a lot of times if you're hungry, one of the best things you can do is just have some additional vegetables. You can have some additional vegetables with lunch, you can have some additional vegetables with dinner. It's low calorie and it's highly satiating. I'm gonna use some avocado spray. Beautiful. Toss this in and let it start to cook up. This will probably take a little bit longer. This will actually probably take the longest of anything we're cooking here today. So far, we've covered protein and we've covered vegetables. Fruit is really simple when you meal prep. A lot of times what I do is I will simply throw either some oranges, some apples, some berries, whatever your choice of fruit is, and I just throw it into my bag with me to go. It's very, very convenient. That's one of the reasons why I think everybody is so pro fruit right now, because they recognize I need to get micronutrients, I need to get antioxidants, fiber is very important, but vegetables, just with the taste, you have to really cook them. You have to spice them up a little bit. It's very easy to grab an apple and take it on the go with you. It is important, however, to get a plethora of different sources of fruit and vegetables because they contain different micronutrients and different antioxidants. So you want to incorporate both fruit and vegetables into your diet, which is why we're bothering to cook these up in bulk. Because they're so satiating, a lot of times if you're feeling hungry, the easiest thing to do is to have some additional fruit or vegetables with your lunch, or have some additional fruit and vegetables with your dinner. So we've covered fruit, vegetables, and we've covered protein. Let's talk about some carbohydrate sources. Rice does not meal prep well. The issue with throwing rice in and cooking it ahead of time is after a day or two, it is gonna taste horrible. It's gonna be so damn brittle. I would not cook up rice in bulk. You could always buy a rice cooker and cook it each and every single day, but that's a big process. And what we're trying to do here is save ourselves some time. So what I actually recommend doing is buying some sort of microwavable rice. In this case, I have Uncle Ben's in front of me and I have the whole grain medley because I want something with fiber. Another thing you can do is buy these potatoes. These are microwavable potatoes. Throw them in the oven. You can microwave these up, very simple. And I would just do that on the spot. I would just I'm gonna put my protein into one of these glass Tupperwares, throw it in here, and then I just take this bag, or I take this rice and I pop it in here on the sides with my lunchbox and take it with me to work, and then I microwave it up ahead of time. If, for whatever reason, that day you're not going to be able to have access to a microwave, then simply microwave it that morning and then throw it in with your meal prep. Or you can cook the potatoes. Those will taste fine if you leave them in the refrigerator for a couple days. But don't cook your rice in bulk. It will taste absolutely horrible. So we've been cooking for about 13 minutes now. My beef is completely done. I just checked on the chicken and it's very close to being done as well. So again, I was actually wrong even about the vegetables. These look like they're gonna be ready within 15 minutes too. So we have a ton of servings of protein, a ton of servings of vegetables, very quickly done. 15 minutes in the kitchen, probably total amount of time it took me to do this, 20 minutes, set up everything. I would recommend, especially with vegetables again because of that bland taste, use some sort of seasoning. If you haven't seen it, I have a long format Trader Joe's video about seasonings in detail. And this is something I do to just add a lot of variety to the taste of my food. So this is finishing cooking up. I'm gonna show you something else I like to do for fat sources. I like to buy individual servings of things. So this is guacamole. You can buy individual servings of it. It's awesome. I know it's exactly 100 calories. I know exactly the nutrients I'm getting from it. So this is something I would throw in my 6-pack bag along with the Tupperware containers of my protein and vegetables. Another thing that I like to do is either buy individual servings of nuts, in this case walnuts, or I'll do it myself. So I took my food scale and I measured out exactly 28 grams, which is 180 calories worth of walnuts, a lot of monounsaturated fat here, excellent fat sources, and I bring individual servings of them with me when I head to work. You're gonna see in a second when I pull out one of the chickens, they don't have any seasoning on it. Instead, I'm gonna be using G. Hughes barbecue sauce. I have an entire YouTube video where I talk about macro-friendly condiments that are gonna really help, again, bring a lot of variety to your diet. So everything's out of the oven now. I took the temperature of the chicken, it's 165 degrees. The beef is nice and browned. The broccoli is nice and charred. Everything looks incredible. All in, cooking time 18 minutes, about 25 minutes. Meal prep is all done, and I've got at least 7 meals worth of protein and vegetables. And again, we have here our carbohydrates, our fat sources, very easy. We can keep those on the side. We don't need to prep for those. We just need to have them ready for when we're ready to have our protein and our veggies. Something else I want to mention about meal prep, which I think is incredibly convenient, is keeping some sort of snack with you. So obviously Greek yogurt, very easy to do, cottage cheese. A lot of times for breakfast, I'll have Greek yogurt, I'll have cottage cheese, and I just throw it in my lunch pack with me and bring it with me, and that'll be one of my meals. And then I'll bring a couple of meals in Tupperware. After you get out of the oven, the next step, grab your food scale. You bothered to meal prep. If you bothered to do all this, you want it to be as accurate as possible. You're probably tracking, you're probably putting a lot of time and effort into your nutrition and training. So we want to make sure it's accurate. So I'll throw out the food scale. I personally suggest you weigh everything in grams. That's the most accurate way to do it. So I'll portion out my beef into one of these glass Tupperwares. I'll put the vegetables in with it, have everything accurately portioned out. I'll zero it out each time I use the food scale, and then I'm going to throw it in my bag. And that is simply how we meal prep incredibly conveniently. If you like what you saw today, please hit subscribe. I'm at the grocery store, I'm lifting weights, I'm doing things like meal prep or talking to you about seasoning, condiments, all things training and nutrition that real people with real lives can get real results. That's what this channel is about. It's not about being 20 and being carefree. It's about being in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, having a career, having a family, and getting the results you've always wanted. Because let's face it, the reality is we have way less time now that we're adults than when we did when we were younger. And that's what today's video was about, was how do we meal prep in a very quick, efficient manner. Thanks for tuning in. If you like what you saw, hit subscribe. If you're not following me on Instagram, that's where the majority of my following is. Thanks so much.